Friends, it is Monday, January the 27th, and I have 10:03, and I'd like to call this meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission to order. Lamont, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Barker,
Present.
Commissioner El Hassan, Commissioner Gasco,
Here.
Commissioner Lara,
Present.
Commissioner Londo, present. Commissioner Roberson,
Present.
Commissioner White,
Present.
Commissioner Worthams.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel. Friends, I'll now move on to agenda item 2, which is the swearing in of our new commissioner, Richard White III, and to announce the reappointment of Commissioner Gloria Lara and the acknowledgement of our former member, Attorney Richard Corvo. Friends, as you know, on December 19th, 2024, Governor Gretchen Whitmer appointed Richard R. White III to succeed Richard Corvo, whose term expired on December 31st, 2024, appointed as a member representing Democrats for a term that starts on January 1, 2025, and will expire on December 31st, 2028. Reverend Wright, welcome to the commission. It's my honor to be able to swear you in. So if you would, please stand with me, friend. Raise your right hand, place your other hand on the Bible. Repeat after me. I, Richard White III, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
That I will support the Constitution
of the United
of
States
the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Michigan Civil Rights Commissioner
of Michigan Civil Rights Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Welcome. Likewise, friends, I'd like to acknowledge the reappointment of Commissioner Gloria Lara on December 19th, 2024. The governor reappointed Gloria for a second term as a member of the Civil Rights Commission representing independents for a term that starts on January 1st, 2025 and expires on December 31st, 2028. And lastly, friends, I would like to acknowledge former Commissioner Attorney Richard Corvo. He was appointed to the commission on December 17th, 2020 to represent Democrats and serve the remainder of his successor, Jeffrey Sakwa's term, December 31st, 2020. Soon after that, Mr. Corvo was reappointed to serve a full term, which commenced on January 1st, 2021 and expired on December 31st, 2024. Richard could not be with us today, but I know on behalf of the entire commission, we will thank him for his 4 years of service and his commitment to the people of the state of Michigan, and for serving as a member of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. I want you to know that we have provided Attorney Corvo with a service award in appreciation of his service, but I would appreciate it if you would join me in a round of applause for Richard Corvo. For those of you who've been watching these things for a while, you know that it's weird that I've started the meeting, considering that Commissioner Lara was our chair last year. But due to the expiration of her term at the end of last year, it also resulted in the expiration of her position as commission chairperson. And that position remains vacant pending our selection of a new chair as chair pro tem until the election of a chairperson later in this agenda. And so, friends, I would ask that we have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Roberson, seconded by Commissioner El Hassan, to name Gloria Lara the chair pro tem for today's meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion to allow Commissioner Lara to serve as chair pro tem today will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. The motion carries unanimously, and the motion is approved. I think I've warmed up your chair. Here you go. You want to do it from there? Okay. We'll just do that.
So now I'm wielding the gavel, and I promise I won't be as heavy-handed as Commissioner Worthings. So the next agenda item is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
Madam Chair.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Londo. Is there a second?
Second.
We have support from Commissioner Worthams. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously and the agenda is approved. So, good morning once again and welcome to the meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. We thank you for having us here in the beautiful, historic former General Motors headquarters, which is now the Cadillac Place building in the city of Detroit. And on a personal note, my husband used to actually work at this building way up on one of the top floors for a few years. And when I was on maternity leave with my daughter, who's now 35, I would come and have lunch with him and her. And so this is a beautiful building, and I'm really glad that we are able to be a part of this. So it is now the Cadillac Place building in the city of Detroit. Before we continue with our opening matters, I will ask our General Counsel and Special Advisor Lamont Satchel to provide the role and authority of the Commission for our audience. Attorney Satchel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Michigan Civil Rights Commission was created by the Michigan Constitution in 1963 to safeguard constitutional and legal guarantees against discrimination. The Commission is charged with investigating alleged discrimination against any person because of religion, race, color, national origin, genetic information, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, marital status, height, weight, arrest record, source of income, and physical and mental disability. The Michigan Department of Civil Rights was created in 1965 and serves as the operational arm of the Commission. Passage of the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act and the Persons with Disabilities Civil Rights Act in 1976 further clarified specific protections guaranteed under Michigan law. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel. Moving on to item B, recognition of significant observances in January. There are several significant observances during the month of January that are relevant to civil rights, and we would like to recognize the following. As some of you may remember, we celebrated the 60th anniversary of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission in 2023. This year, we will also celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. Created in 1965 by executive order, the department has withstood the test of time. Over the years, MDCR staff numbers grew to well over 300 and then shrunk to well under 100. In commemoration of this anniversary, this year the department will be hosting a celebration on July 23rd, as well as a number of other projects to remember and honor the journey this far. It is always vital that we stop occasionally to look back at the past in the hopes that history can provide both motivation and steadfastness. I believe I speak for the entire Commission when I say that we are proud to be in this role in this moment. We stand on the shoulders of past commissioners and proudly blaze a trail ahead for those that will be appointed in the future. Today is also International Holocaust Remembrance Day. The day honors the 6 million people who died in Nazi Germany and remembers the sacrifice of those who fought to liberate the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp in Poland. On January 20th, the nation celebrated what would have been the 96th birthday of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., whose actual birthday is July 15th, 1929. On January 21st, the nation celebrated the 9th annual National Day of Racial Healing, which is observed annually on the day after Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It provides an opportunity for individuals and communities across the nation to come together and engage in conversations that foster racial healing. The observance launched in 2017 by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. It builds on the work of its Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation partners who are committed to advancing racial equity and addressing the systemic and historical impacts of racism. It encourages people to confront racial equity issues with honesty and empathy, helping to build trust and restore community connections. Lastly, on January 30th, we will celebrate the life of Fred T. Korematsu, a civil rights activist who objected to the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. He passed away on March 30th, 2005. We salute these great American heroes and acknowledge the vital and continuing need for racial healing. Now, moving on to item C, public comment protocol. We will have our Deputy Executive Director, Kim Woolridge, come forward to provide the protocol for public comment. Ms. Woolridge, you have the floor.
Commissioners, please note there will be 2 opportunities to provide public comment during today's meeting. If attendees wish to speak during the public comment portion of the agenda, you must sign up to do so within the next 10 minutes by completing a public comment form. If you require assistance, please notify a MDCR staff member at the sign-in table. When it's time for public comment, the chair will call on attendees in the order in which we receive their request to speak. The public comment time frame for speaking will be 2 minutes. There will be a visual timer. There will be a visual timer. Green for 2 minutes, yellow for 30 seconds, and red to stop. The timekeeper will verbally remind each speaker when 30 seconds remain. Please also be aware that MDCR staff will verbally warn any speakers only once if they use inappropriate, inflammatory, or disrespectful language. If use of that language continues, the speaker will be asked to stop commenting. That completes the public comment protocol. Chair, I turn the meeting back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Woolridge. And there is no public comment. Okay. The next agenda item is adoption of the consent agenda. The following items from the agenda have been identified as those that may not require commission discussion prior to being adopted or received. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any commission member. Items not removed will then be moved for adoption by general consent without debate. Removed items will be taken up later on the agenda as indicated. For this meeting, Annie Urowski, Legislative Liaison, has been removed from the consent agenda and will be reporting out on the activity of the Legislative Liaison. Attorney Tyra Khan, Director of the Disability Rights and Compliance Division, has also been removed from the consent agenda and will be providing an update on her respective division. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Madam Chair.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Worthams and seconded and supported by Commissioner Londo. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to adopt the consent agenda as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously and the consent agenda is adopted. Our next agenda item is approval of minutes. We have received and reviewed the draft minutes from the October 21st, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Support.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Roberson and seconded and supported from Commissioner Worthams. Is there any discussion or revisions to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the October 21st minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously and the October 21st meetings are approved. Our next agenda item is public comment. Again, if our audience would like to give public comment, please complete one of the gold forms made available at the registration table. Ms. Sanford will collect the forms. As a reminder, we will be taking comments in the order received. You will have 2 minutes to speak before the commission. Please note our timekeeper is, pardon? Tierra Yakini. Ms. Sanford, have we received all the forms?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are no forms this morning.
Great. Thank you. We will offer an additional opportunity for public comment towards the end of the meeting, which is Agenda Item 12. Our next agenda item is division and other reports. We will start with our Executive Director, Attorney John E. Johnson, Jr. Good morning, Director Johnson. We have received your written report, and you have the floor.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair, and Happy New Year to all the commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to give you a report on the status of the department. As usual, my first item on my report involves personnel. Pleased to say that at this point, we're at 184 full-time employees. We started out 3 years ago at 79. So thanks to, again, the appropriations by the legislature, the governor's recommendations, we've expanded with anticipation of hiring at least 45 more people within the next few months. So we'll be well over 200 people. We have some new employees here in the audience. In fact, a number of employees, staff members have come down to hear you and be a part of this meeting. If you don't mind, I'd like some of them to be introduced.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
First, we'll
please.
start with enforcement. Marcelina Trevino, Enforcement Division Director, will introduce the new employees in her division.
Good morning, Marcelina speaking. Thank you. I'd like to introduce some of our new staff. We have first some new admin support staff, 3 who are here with us today. So if you could stand up and kind of raise your hand so that the commission can see you. First, we have Tamiko Tomlinson. She was out of the Detroit office. Raven Barrett. Bree Morgan. And then if I could have any other admin support who are our senior staff stand and say hello. Thank you. Moving to our civil rights investigators who are new. Most of them that were just recently hired are in our out-of-state offices. So we have Grand Rapids, Flint, Lansing, and 2 additional CRIs up in Marquette as well. So any other CRIs who are with us, please stand.
And introduce yourself. Tell us who you are
Okay.
and your position.
Other investigators?
Now, I'd like, quite frankly, if you don't mind, everyone to stand up and, if you don't mind, and just tell you who they are and how long they've been here and what division they're in. So let's start over here with Annika, and then we'll go through everybody. Go ahead. They need to come to the mic. So could folks perhaps line up? Would that be good or something? All right.
And as we do that, if I could just introduce the new
That's fine.
staff attorney. Brendan Coleman is here. He is out of the Detroit office, and we have another Ann Van Broek, who is out of the Grand Rapids office, who is not here.
Okay, don't be shy. Quickly, let's go.
Put him on the spot.
All right, let's go.
Good
Quickly.
morning. I'm Catherine Cooper. I'm a staff attorney out of the Detroit office. I've been here since February of last year.
Let's go, everybody, let's go.
Hello, my name is Carmisha Macbeth. I am the newest member of the Seed Department as Specialist 13.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tierra Yakini. I am manager of the ADA Compliance Unit.
Good morning, commissioners and everybody else. My name is Lillian Talia. I'm a new staff attorney here. I started June of 2024.
Good morning. I got a brief introduction, but I'm Brendan Coleman. I'm a staff attorney. I've been here 2.5 years, but just became an attorney 3 weeks ago. So.
Good morning. I'm Bree Morgan. I'm admin support for enforcement. I've been here since October.
Good morning. My name is Raven. I'm one of the new admin supports, and I started Christmas week. So,
Good morning, Stephanie Parker. I am a part of the admin team here in enforcement, and I've been here since March 2024.
Good morning, I'm Tamiko Tomlinson, new admin in housing. Started the week of Thanksgiving.
Good morning. My name is Alana Buford Cameraman. I am the acting director for the Office of Legal Affairs. I joined the department as a staff attorney in April 2021 and came into this role at the end of August 2024. Thank you.
And I will turn it back over to you, Director. Thank you so much.
I don't know why that felt like an episode of Shark Tank for a second.
Thank you. John speaking again. John, thank you for staff for coming forward and introduce yourself. I think we missed one behind, next to you, Marcelina. He's happy this morning. He's a Philadelphia. He's from Philadelphia.
I was getting ready to say go Birds, but you know. Good morning, Anthony Lewis, and I serve as the director of our community engagement and education divisions, and been with the department for many years. Thank you.
Go Birds fly.
John speaking again. Thank you. And there's two people who did not get up, but you'll meet them later under division reports. And that's Annie Uraski and Kenya Lau. All right. Thank you for that, for indulging me with that. I appreciate you. So that's our staff, members of our current staff. Again, we're at 185 now. I want to give you some a budget update. Fiscal year 24 ended on September 30th, 2024. We went in with $23.5 million available in ongoing general fund money, but had $3.4 million left over. So that was turned into a work project, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Because I list all the work projects under fiscal year 2025. So for fiscal year 2025, we did receive an increase in our ongoing monies, and there's a difference. And when I describe it as something like a regular paycheck versus a bonus, if you can put it in those terms, our regular paycheck is the ongoing money. The bonus is the one-time money that we may get for special things. So in this instance, we started fiscal year 2025 with a total budget of over $39 million. And keep in mind, when we started it a few years ago, it was 14.9. So again, that's through the generosity of the governor and the legislature. We did receive a $2.7 million increase to last year's ongoing money. So we started out with ongoing general fund monies of $26,200,000. But then we have $12,817 in work projects going back to fiscal year 21. Work projects are good for 5 years, including the fiscal year in which the money was appropriated. So you see there's a list of work projects there dating back to fiscal year 21. That was the balance of each of those work projects on October 1st, 2024. Totaling, again, as I mentioned, $12,817,000. So that gives us the total budget going in this fiscal year, $39,017,038. So some of those work projects, you see money as being spent on those as planning to make sure we obviously spend those monies before their time expires for each of those projects. Fiscal year 2026, we have submitted 3 proposals for change. We're waiting to hear some official word on those. Again, one was designed for a referral program to enhance our referral process for customers who we may not be able to actually service through a certified complaint, but perhaps can offer some other services and referrals. The other one was to expand our DEI effort, and that another one was for it to enhance our technology capacity. We're waiting to hear on the decisions on those. Our enforcement division continues to churn out the cases. Their expansion has allowed them to really attack the backlog. You see the numbers there. As of December 31st, we only had 4 cases from 2019, 2 cases from 2020, 4 from 2021. Those numbers were triple digits and more when we first took this over, so only a handful. And those are being dealt with also, some of those in the hands of our attorneys. So you see the bulk of those are from 2022 and 2023, so certainly with expanded staff, we'll be able to deal with those too. But we are receiving 672, well, average of still 672 cases, complaints per month. So it's keeping us real busy in terms of receiving the complaints across the state and dealing with them. We do, I do mention again, we have our 2 federal contracts, one with the EEOC, and we're far exceeding. When we first arrived, we were in danger of losing that contract. Now, Marcelina and Marlene Kane over there have managed this department so much that now we've increased the amount of cases that we're getting from EEOC as opposed to going back. Before it was a modification downwards, now we're going upwards. So we appreciate the work that they're doing and allowing us to increase that. And the federal contract again is on point. Our community engagement and vision and education division, led by you met him earlier, Tony Lewis, still works with we have a grant. One of those work projects you'll see listed is with our ALLPAC units. They've been busy making sure receiving proposals for different activities through those committees and have approved those. So they've been really busy in terms of making sure that the pacts between the law enforcement and community are working, and that's using obviously to cut down on some of the complaints that the community may have in that area. Again, still working with our hate bias effort, and then our Civil Rights Youth Academy. You'll hear later from our Disability Rights and Compliance Division, from our DEI division. Again, working, a law was passed last February 28th requiring state departments to have language access. I think we talked about this at the last meeting. And we're working with Global Michigan on that charge, looking at our process to make sure that our language, that our information is language accessible, and working with others. Some of that money that was left over from fiscal year 24, that $3.4 million I mentioned, 800,000 of that has been set aside for language access, and 2.6 million has been set aside for our disparate impact work. You see the activities under the DEI division there, focusing on the Native American boarding school study project. That has been, I think they're looking at trying to issue a report in March on that. A preliminary report was due January 31st, but they did get an extension because they're looking at a final report on that. It's being reviewed by the Office of the Attorney General, and I know they have some comments. So we're ready to receive those and look to see what the issues might be, if any, in regards to that study. But for Reverend White's purpose, that's I think we might have mentioned that during our orientation last week. But that's a study ordered by recommended by the governor, ordered by the legislature to look at Native American boarding schools in Michigan, separating children from families, stripping them of their culture, and the effects that that's had on the tribal communities here in Michigan. And that's part of that study. We were given $1.25 million to conduct that study. We contracted with Kaufman Associates in order to complete that study, and they're on the verge of complete. Well, they put together a draft proposal, but again, so it's being reviewed. So hopefully, at the next meeting, we'll be able to speak on that with more certainty. Legislative report you'll hear later from Annie Uraski, who will give you an update on the legislative activity through the end of the 102nd legislative session and what's going on with the 103rd session that's going on right now. I do want to mention, I think it's been mentioned already, in terms of priorities, when I look at the quarterly report of enforcement work that has been received this quarter thus far, let me say that we've received we've certified 896 complaints. And to show you the intersectionality of these, when folks come in and complain, it's not just about one protected area. It's sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4 areas. So let me point out that out of 896 complaints certified, 629 of them involve a disability. 553 of them involve race. Some of these are intersectional, but you can see again how people, they're being discriminated against in a number of areas, not just one, not just two, perhaps even three. And that's reflected in the complaints we receive and certainly in the work that's being done by the staff in investigating all those areas when they go out with the case. So the highest areas of disability, race, sex, and retaliation and age. Those are the triple-digit numbers. The rest of them then fall into double digits. But just to give you an idea of the sort of work that's being done by the department, by the enforcement department. And again, I think it was already mentioned, our 60th anniversary. We celebrated on July 23rd. I think this commission has agreed to have a meeting that week so we can celebrate that, and also the 35th anniversary of the American Disabilities Act, which I'm sure will be discussed during the Drake presentation. I believe that ends my report, commissioners.
Thank you, Director Johnson, for your report. Commissioners, are there any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Worthams, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Director, for the report. I want to go back to just make sure that I understand the timing of the Native American boarding school study project. Earlier, actually late in 2024, at an event known in Lansing as the Catharsis Party, post-election, for those of us who do that sort of thing. I actually ran into members of the Michigan Catholic Conference, who I used to work with when I was a young kid in the legislature. And they had mentioned that they had heard rumblings that there was a report going on. So I shared with them what I knew, and that we were looking into that. I thought it was a valid project and still continue to believe so. And they expressed that they also thought it was a good thing to dive into. And they're very interested in finding out the results of that report, so that if there are reactions, not necessarily defensive reactions per se, but reactions that need to be done to either alleviate issues that were raised, that perhaps the bishops would be willing to have that conversation. So I just want to make sure that I've got the timing clear on when the final report will be wrapped up, so perhaps I can share that with our friends at the Catholic Conference.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that question. It's my understanding that the final report will be issued at the end of March.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Worthams. Are there any other questions for the Director? Seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item. General Counsel report from Attorney Lamont Satchell. Good morning, Mr. Satchell. We have received your written report, and you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. As indicated, you have my written report. There's only one item that I would update, and that relates to the Commission rules. The Michigan Department of Civil Rights initiated, as you know, the process of comprehensively reviewing its internal policies, referee manual, and Commission rules to align them and codify existing practices and procedures relating to the processing and resolution of complaints and investigations. It was determined that further amendment to the Commission's rules was necessary, and a select group of department staff reviewed each of the existing rules for alignment with current practices and anticipated future needs and concerns. Based on this review, appropriate amendments have been made to the rules and were presented to the Commission at its April 2024 meeting for adoption. Following adoption at the April meeting, the Department formally submitted a request for rulemaking to the Michigan Office of Administrative Hearings and Rules, also known as MOHR, to initiate the rules and amendment process. MOHR officially approved the Department's request for rulemaking, and the process for finalizing the rules is underway. After MOHR approval of the Department's request for rulemaking, internal staff met to review the necessity to amend and adopt the drafted. Internal staff met to review the necessity to amend the adopted draft to address any foreseeable artificial intelligence issues that would require a rule amendment. The department did not foresee any AI issues that would necessitate a rule amendment, but anticipates that our internal policies, practices, and procedures may need to be reviewed and amended to address complaints involving an AI issue. Since the last commission meeting, the department completed its final revisions to the rules and submitted them to MOHAR for review and approval. MOHAR approved the amended rules and submitted them to the Legislative Services Bureau. The Legislative Services Bureau reviewed and recommended a couple of edits that have been accepted by the department. The department then began the process of completing the regulatory impact statement, which is the next step in the rules adoption process and is estimated to take between 30 to 60 days. However, after MOHAR and the Legislative Service Bureau's approval of the draft rules and the start of the regulatory impact statement process, the AG's office suggested an additional amendment to our rules to bring our rules in alignment with implications of a Supreme Court decision by clarifying that in appeals of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission decisions, the commission is the proper party, which has been the unstated practice of the department and the commission. The rules are being amended to reflect this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel, for your report. Commissioners, are there any questions? Seeing none, excuse me, we will move on to the next agenda item, C1, a presentation from Anna Urowski, who serves in the capacity of legislative liaison in the department's executive office. Ms. Urowski, you have the floor.
Hello, good morning, everyone. This is Annie Urowski signing. First of all, I want to thank the director and the commission for allowing me to present today at today's session. The director had asked me to outline a few things to the previous legislative session and bills that impact our department. As the commission is aware, the commission has passed a resolution in support of the legislature which would prohibit income discrimination. I'm pleased to announce that the governor signed that, the Senate Bill 205, 206, and 207, and that was signed on December 30th of 2024. And specifically, Senate Bill 207 is it amends the ELCRA Act to include a source of income under Chapter 5, Article 5, excuse me. And we also have a TIBARD bill that are in the House, the House Bills 4062, 4063, and that was signed by the governor on January 16th of 2025. And that bill had passed, and we had the initial date of April 2nd. So our department is, and the legal team is working and developing guidelines for the legal team related to the legislature. And Chris, the administrative team, our software platform, and we're streaming the information there, working on adding new protected bills to our system in order to help create complaints in that area. And the commission also passed a resolution in support of a name change for identification, House Bill 5300 and 503 that was passed April of last year. And the governor signed the bill January 17th. And then also the commission passed a resolution in support of the legislative effort to address hate crimes. And we had two bills, House Bill 5400, 5401, related to creating elements for the act of a hate crime, and added guidelines as well. And that was signed January 22nd. And then related to the 103rd Michigan Legislature that started January 8th, both the House and the Senate have additional calendar sessions that are going to be going into June. And we've included that link on your report as well for the site. And then as far as being visible, is being connecting with people, networking, building relationships with legislatures and state departments and agencies and their liaisons in the governor's office and key stakeholders. There's new information that's not in your packet. This week, we'll be seeing a copy of the Momness bill, that package. And we will be having Senate Bill 3-4 introduced by Senator Chang related to the amending the ELCRA to clarify the term sex, to include but not limited to pregnancy or lactation status in public spaces and the workplace. And then an additional follow-up I have for you is the next State of the State will be hosted by the Governor, Whitmer, and they have that scheduled for February 26th. Okay, I'm happy to answer any additional questions you might have.
This is Chair Lara. Thank you, Ms. Urosky, for your presentation. Commissioners, are there any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Worthams.
Not necessarily a question, but just a compliment. I remember walking through the House lobby in December of 2024, and all of a sudden I turned to my left and there's Annie working very hard in the House lobby. And I was like, what are you doing in the lobby? You should be over there in the legislature, in the chamber. Let's get going. And she was like, I've already got it handled. So congratulations on a great surviving effort in the lame duck session. And thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Worthams. Are there other comments or questions? I also have a comment. It is so gratifying to see the bills that have been passed that the commission has also passed resolutions on. It shows that our work is being considered as important to the people of the state of Michigan. So thank you again, and thank you we look forward to hopefully additional bills being passed that we believe are important for the people of the state of Michigan.
This is Annie signing. Thank you.
We will now move on to item C2, Disability Rights and Compliance Division update by Attorney Tyra Khan, who serves as Division Director. Attorney Khan is joining us virtually, so we'll give the AV techs a few moments to connect her.
This is Tyra speaking. Good morning. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, good morning, Ms. Khan. We have received your written report, and you have the floor virtually.
This is Tyra speaking. Thank you very much, Chair Lara, and thank you to the Director and the Commission for the opportunity to address the Commission and provide some updates on the Disability Rights and Compliance Division. I'll just give a few reminders. The Disability Rights and Compliance Division houses 3 distinct units. We have our ADA Compliance Unit, the Division on Deaf, Blind, Hard of Hearing, and then our FOIA and Contract Compliance Unit, which are bundled together. I'm happy to be here today to share how our division has grown, not only in terms of staffing, but some of the programming since I last reported to the Commission. I'll begin with some updates from the Division on Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing. As Annie just reported out, she is now the legislative liaison for the department. And due to her promotion, we began the search to fill the position of the director of that division. Kenya Lowe is with you in person today, and she was selected as the new division director for Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing. She began working on January 6th. So if Kenya could just stand so the commission can recognize her. Kenya comes to MDCR with a wealth of experience and advocacy supporting the deaf, blind, hard of hearing community, and we are very excited to have her join us. We also recently posted a 13-level specialist position with the working title of Communication Access Specialist, and we hope to have that position filled by March. That position, we're excited to have that position because it will act as a liaison to the other departments, especially enforcement, to see how we can support our customers of that community. Kenya and her team will be working closely with the Division on Deaf, Blind, Hard of Hearing Advisory Council to set the division's goals for 2025. The next council meeting is scheduled for February 21st, and that is going to be at the Novi Public Library. This will also give Kenya a chance to meet the public and vice versa. We will be doing a series of meet and greets for Director Lowe to meet the community. And we're going to try to do that throughout the state, but the first one will be in Novi in February. Currently, the Advisory Council has some vacancies. We have communicated those to the Governor's Appointments Office, and we're waiting for word. The Deaf, Blind, Hard of Hearing Division continues to provide training to State of Michigan entities and our external customers related to cultural competency and effective communication. The team attends quarterly Michigan Coalition for the Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing meetings, as well as quarterly meetings at U of M Center for the Disability Health and Wellness Advisory Board. We are currently partnering with the Idaho State University and Gallaudet University for a program entitled Promoting Equity in Healthcare Interpreting, which is a grant-funded program. The goal of this program is to elevate interpreter skills in healthcare interpreting. It's a 5-year grant funded through the Department of Education and Rehabilitation Administration. Next, I will move on to the other unit, FOIA and contract compliance, and share some updates there. Cami Freyer is the manager of that unit. She oversees the department's obligations with respect to public records, as well as leading our contract compliance work. There have also been some staffing changes within that unit. I'm happy to report. Brenda Frizzell was promoted from a civil rights investigator position to a contract compliance specialist position in November of last year, so very recently. And we also have Megan Chrysler, who is an analyst in the ADA compliance unit, but we have her working out of class with Cami under the business certification work that we're doing right now. And finally, we have a technician that started just last week to support the work of the unit, excuse me. It's really good to have more staff. It's hard to flesh out programs without the staff, so we're very thankful to the director for allowing some staffing changes there. Cami and I participated in the lean process improvement for the FOIA unit specifically for several months last year. That program process just wrapped up this month, and the purpose was to identify areas of improvement for our FOIA processes, specifically as it relates to our forthcoming public-facing portal. Under the contract compliance component of the unit, Cami and her team have been reviewing vast amounts of research and data and drafting documents to try to flesh out where we want to go with this program. And we do plan to have some programming operational by the third quarter of this fiscal year. Also, the team has been conducting other research and stakeholder meetings to determine funding for viability of the business certification program component. Next, I will share some news about the final unit, ADA compliance. That unit is managed by Tiara Yakini. First, with the staffing changes, Tiara was working out of class in that manager position until she was promoted in July of last year. We've had some other hirings, movement. Michael McCann was hired in September of last year as our training and development coordinator. And Stephen Kilduff began working as a technician in that unit in December of last year. And finally, we have a contractor working with us to assist in processing the service animal applications. As you know, that unit administers the state of Michigan's free and voluntary service animal ID program. Megan generally was handling those applications, but with her working out of class, we were given permission to hire the contractor, so that's been going well. Just a recap of some of the duties of the ADA compliance unit. There are 3 main duties and other peripheral things that we do, but the main ones are to provide internal and public-facing trainings, guidance, and support on all disability compliance related matters. We also oversee the state of Michigan's Title II ADA grievance procedure. That is a requirement that's baked into the ADA that says public entities with 50 or more employees have to establish a grievance procedure to allow for quicker remedy for the public if they're having any problems accessing program services or activities. And then, as I mentioned, we also administer that free and voluntary service animal ID program. I do want to highlight a couple of big projects that we've been working on. Feels like I've been talking about this forever, but they're finally coming to fruition. We did receive funding as part of our fiscal year 2024 proposal for change for 2 projects. The first one was to conduct a self-evaluation and transition plan for the department. What that means is that we catalog all program services and activities and do a full accessibility review of all offices where the public may come in terms of where we do our business. That was a learning process, but we finally have contracted with an outside vendor to assist us in doing that. So we are moving forward with that, and we will be going into the buildings where we have staff and the public will come and do the accessibility reviews to see what needs to be transitioned. We're doing the same for programming and policies as well. Tiara's team worked very closely with other MDCR staff to meet in person to catalog all of the work that we do, and then to determine where any gaps in accessibility are. The second large project that we have going on is our digital accessibility training. Again, we received some funding to create and offer a comprehensive tract-based course listing at a self-paced module for all state of Michigan employees who are interested in learning more about the topic of digital accessibility. The team has completed the vendor selection process. The contract is currently being reviewed for red lines right now. We hope to have content go live in March. That digital accessibility project coincides nicely with a new rule that was issued by the Department of Justice last year with respect to Title II entities and digital accessibility. The new rule applies to state and local governments and mandates that their websites, mobile applications comply with certain criteria. It's called Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 Level AA, to ensure that people with disabilities have equitable access to all public services that are provided digitally. Our digital information coordinator, John Estel, he's a state of Michigan employee, has been working with his team at DTMB to ensure that all applicable requirements of that new rule are met by the enforcement date of April 2026. I'm getting to the end here. The ADA compliance unit is looking forward to hosting some of our public-facing trainings and sessions. The director mentioned July will be the 35th anniversary of the ADA. We host public forums, and our team goes out into the community to attend our partners' events and training sessions and for ADA Day. That's July 26th. We are also working closely with Harold's team, strategic initiatives and partnerships to ensure that our upcoming 2025 summit with the theme of accessibility and disability is accessible to people. And then finally, to close out my report, I think it's important to share how the department is continually working to stay current on digital and disability rights and compliance matters in order for us to continue leading the state with support and guidance that's the highest quality. To that end, our team members have been actively seeking out new trainings and certifications, and I'll just give a quick rundown. Tiara Yakini and specialist Sarah Cruz, who are both in ADA compliance, both became certified ADA coordinators last year. Caitlin Johnson is an analyst in the ADA compliance unit, and she was credentialed as a certified professional in accessibility core competencies through the International Association of Accessibility Professionals last year. This is quite a coup for the department to have this certification. It gives us a higher level of recognition with respect to leadership in accessibility, universal design, accessibility-related standards, and management strategies. And then finally, the department has become a member of the National Association of ADA Coordinators. Myself, Kim Woolridge, Deputy Director Woolridge, and some other team members will be becoming certified through that organization. And I did attend their first kickoff event since the pandemic last year in California. That is all for the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Khan, for your presentation. Commissioners, are there any questions or comments? I have one comment. Your report was lengthy, and that should be appropriate in light of the complaints that Director Johnson had mentioned. I think 896 the past quarter, and 629 of them related to disability-related items. So, yes, I can see that there is a lot of work to be done, not because you aren't doing your job, but in educating and ensuring that the public is aware of their rights as with different disabilities. So thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to the next agenda item. Attorney General report from Assistant Attorney General Tonya Jeter. Good morning, Attorney Jeter, and thank you for joining us today. We have received your written report, and you have the floor.
Good morning. The Commission has received the Department of Attorney General's report, so I will just update you on some of the cases. So starting with Ann Goulet versus E&B Brewery. This was an administrative appeal filed in the Circuit Court, essentially challenging the department's denial of a request for reconsideration based on a dismissal of a fair housing claim. The department responded to the appeal. All briefing was done. On November 1st, 2024, the Circuit Court denied the appeal. Moving on to City of Grand Rapids versus the department. This is a case where the City of Grand Rapids filed a claim of appeal in the Court of Appeals, essentially challenging a Court of Claims order where the Court of Claims granted the department's motion to dismiss. The underlying claim in that case was the City of Grand Rapids filed a complaint essentially asserting that the 3-year statute of limitations provision in the Revised Judicature Act applies to department administrative proceedings. Oral arguments are pending in this matter. All the briefing has been completed. The matter is pending before the Court of Claims. Next, we have N. Ray Kyle. This is a case where Mr. Kyle filed a delayed application for leave to appeal a circuit court order which denied his request for superintendent control. In this case, the department filed an answer to his delayed app, objecting to the delayed app. The case is currently pending in the Michigan Court of Appeals. Moving on to Studio 8 Hair Lab versus City of Traverse City. That's in the Michigan Court of Appeals. This is a case where Studio 8 Hair Lab filed a claim of appeal challenging a circuit court order which dismissed their complaint. The underlying complaint filed by Studio 8 Hair Lab challenged the constitutionality of several provisions of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, asserting First Amendment violations. The Court of Appeals in this case has extended briefing until March of 2025, and that case is currently pending in the Court of Appeals. At the same time that the Studio 8 filed their claim of appeal with the Court of Appeals, they also filed a bypass application with the Michigan Supreme Court. The Michigan Supreme Court has denied their bypass application, which essentially means the Court of Appeals will get the first bite at the apple of making a determination as to the appeal. Moving on to our cases at the trial court level, we have American Freedom Law Center versus Arbalou. This is a very old case. This case goes back to 2019. It has been pending in the district court. Then moving on to Catalina Ayala versus the City of Grand Rapids and the Grand Rapids Police Department. I'm sure the commission will recall, this is a case where we filed in circuit court seeking to compel discovery. In this case, oral arguments were done, briefing was completed, and the court entered an order holding its decision in abeyance until the Court of Claims reached its decision. Moving on to the City of Grand Rapids versus the department and the commission in the Court of Claims. This is the subsequent case. And in this case, this is actually the original case. In this case, the City of Grand Rapids filed a lawsuit filing a complaint asserting that the three-year statute of limitations provision in the Revised Judicature Act applies to administrative proceedings conducted by the department. We filed a motion to dismiss, and the Court of Claims granted our motion, which resulted in them appealing to the Court of Appeals, which is where the case is at this point. Then moving on to Michael Dean Williams versus the department. This is a case filed in federal district court. Essentially, Mr. Dean Williams argued that the department's denial of his discrimination complaint violated his rights. At this point, we filed a motion to dismiss in the federal court. He then moved to amend his complaint, and we have since filed a response to his motion to amend, asking the court to deny. The matter is currently pending. That leads us to the last two cases, Christian Healthcare Centers and Sacred Heart of Jesus Parish, Grand Rapids versus the Department of Attorney General, the department, and this commission. If this commission will recall, this is the case that went to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. The underlying issue is that there are challenges based on the First Amendment, religious accommodations to various provisions of the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals remanded the case back to the district court. Now we are in the district court, and we are in the discovery phase of the proceedings. What that means is the plaintiffs in this case sent interrogatories, requests for admissions, requests for production of documents. We have since responded to their discovery requests. We, in turn, have sent our own discovery requests. So we have sent out on behalf of defendants in that case, including this commission, interrogatories, requests for admissions, and requests for production of documents. So that concludes my report. If any of the commissioners have any questions, I am very happy to answer them.
Thank you, Attorney Jeter, for your report. And again, commissioners, are there any questions? Seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item, commission business. Our first item under commission business is Chair's report. Instead of the report, I have a statement, a personal statement. The 8-member Michigan Civil Rights Commission was created by the people of Michigan in our 1963 Michigan Constitution to safeguard constitutional and legal guarantees against discrimination. The Commission is charged with investigating illegal discrimination against any person because of religion, race, color, or national origin, genetic information, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, source of income, age, marital status, height, weight, arrest record, and physical and mental disability. It is worth reminding us, the residents of the state of Michigan, that the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act and the Persons with Disabilities Civil Rights Act define, guarantee, and secure civil rights for residents in Michigan. These laws enjoy almost a half-century of respect and application in the protection, enforcement, and exercise of civil rights in Michigan. This Civil Rights Commission and the Michigan Department of Civil Rights have for over a century exercised our respective constitutional and statutory powers to safeguard civil rights within this state and secure the equal protection of those civil rights without discrimination. As we as a nation confront mounting challenges that seemingly threaten to test our fidelity to the first principles of humanity reflected in the civil rights enshrined in state and federal laws, it behooves us to reflect upon the lives and sacrifices of those individuals, communities, and organizations that paved the way and laid the foundation for the civil rights we enjoy today. To honor their lives and sacrifice by pledging our dedication to the cause of justice, respect, and dignity embodied in the civil rights laws of this country. This much we owe them, this much we deserve. In Michigan, our civil rights remain protected, and this commission's dedication to their preservation is unwavering. Moving on to the next order of business, the 2024 Michigan Civil Rights Commission, Michigan Department of Civil Rights Annual Report. We will hear from Director of Communications, Vicki Leavenworth, who is participating virtually. Ms. Levengood, thank you for joining us virtually. You have the floor. I'm sorry, Vicki, it's Levengood.
You're forgiven, Commissioner. I appreciate the introduction. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Vicki Levengood, Communications Director for the department, and thank you for allowing me to introduce you to the 2024 MCRC Annual Report. The full report stands at 45 pages, covering highlights of the activities of both the Commission and the department in fiscal year 2024. I will not go through it in depth, but I'd like to walk you through just a few pages so you have a sense of it, along with its companion piece, MDCR by the numbers. You all should have received a copy of the report and MDCR by the numbers by email last Monday. So if you bear with me, I will share my screen and attempt to pull up my, of course, I'm not used to doing this on Zoom, and it doesn't appear to be visible to me. Bear with me 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, it's interestingly, for some reason, it is not appearing. Bear with me 1 second. I'm not sure why that's happening. Let's see. If I'm not able to share the image, we'll move through it a little bit and I'll describe some of the content without showing you the screen. But let's see it once. I think we have it now appearing. Are you able to see now? Chair, maybe you could let me know.
Yes, we now see the title page or the cover page.
Terrific. Terrific. Thank you. Yes, this is the cover page of the 2024 annual report. I want to just take a minute to just trying to get my notes back up after that interesting interlude there. As I said, I won't go through it in depth, but I'll walk you through a few of the pages. So I'm going to just scroll through briefly, if I can get back to it. Gosh, this is not making it easy for me. Tempting to get back to the report so that I can scroll through it.
Oh, we can still see the title page of the report.
You can see the title page. That's
I mean, not the
terrific.
title page, the cover, the cover.
The cover page, yes. You'll see that the design is a rendering of the Cadillac Place, which is the official address for the commission. And I wanted to mention specifically our designer, Peyton Shane, graphic designer for the department, who joined us relatively recently, was responsible for for all of the layout and design of the report this year. I'm attempting to pull this up. It's not wanting to go back to the original. And I'm just going to see if I can scroll in this tiny little window I have. Yeah, it's absolutely not allowing me to, but let me try some other things. Well, I think I'm just going to talk you through some of the report. I want to describe the visual on this cover page. Obviously, it is a photograph that's been rendered a bit of the Cadillac Place in Detroit with a background of a dark teal color with a swirling line of lighter teal. And then the title of the report is in an even lighter teal blue color and says Michigan Civil Rights Commission 2024 Annual Report. As I believe you've all received the report, we start very early with a letter from Chair Lara describing her reactions to the actions of the commission and the department in 2024. We also include in the report highlights of all the actions that the commission took in fiscal year 2024. We move into a several-page summary of the summit in last June, which was focused on fair housing and ending housing discrimination. We also include highlights from the My Response to Hate Crimes Conference that took place last fall with an attendance of more than 300 people. And it's the only conference of its kind in Michigan. And we go in depth into some of what was covered there. Along with that, we introduce Annie Rasky as the new legislative liaison. We have a brief introduction to Lamont Satchel, who's been somewhat ignored in past reports. We wanted to do a little profile of Lamont and his work advising the commission. We then do a review of highlights from all the divisions. So we start with the enforcement division. That's the longest piece, highlighting specifically their dogged effort to bring down that backlog and their incredible success in doing so. We then go through all the divisions in the department and highlights from what they've done. Toward the end of the report, I should mention toward the beginning of the report, there are bios for all of the commissioners. And there is an introductory section that talks about who we are and what we do. And that's updated each year to reflect the changes in some of our partnerships and initiatives. And then at the end of the report, we have biographies for all of the members of the executive team, including Executive Director Johnson and Deputy Executive Director Woolridge. And on the back cover, we list the leadership team. And throughout the report, we use architectural pieces from images of architectural pieces of the of Cadillac Place as art. And but the most important thing that I wanted to talk about at the end of this is that this report is the most accessible report that MDCR has ever produced. I want to specifically thank Peyton Shane for her efforts in that area. And we would not have been able to produce an accessible report without the assistance of the Disability Rights and Compliance Division, Tyra Khan, Director, and specifically Caitlin Johnson in her office, who was invaluable in doing accessibility checks for us throughout this process. We're very proud that this report is accessible. We're working very hard in the communications office to provide accessible design that's also beautiful. And that sometimes is our conflicting goals. And so it's the work of Peyton working with Drake to try to help us reach our goal of producing beautiful materials that are fully accessible. I think that's the end of my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Levengood. And we have all been where you are, I believe, with Zoom meetings and trying to share documents. And, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work. So we appreciate your efforts. Commissioners, are there any Commissioners, are there any comments or concerns with regards to the 2024 annual report? So, hearing none, before we go on to any motions, I would like to commend you on the accessibility of the report. I recall that you and I had a conversation about what it takes to make information that's printed and otherwise to be accessible so that people with all sorts of capabilities are able to see it. So thank you again for being so diligent with that.
Thank you, Chair.
Is there a motion to adopt the 2024 annual report as submitted?
So moved.
Support.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Londo and supported by Commissioner Worthams. Is there any discussion or revisions to the report? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to adopt the report say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously and the 2024 annual report is adopted. Thank you. We will now move on to item C, Commission's 2025 priorities. My fellow commissioners, each year the Commission sets priorities of special interest for the year that the Commission will focus on and that align with the work of the department. Additionally, committees will be formed to take the lead and focus on their assigned priority and bring recommendations to the Commission regarding next steps, which may include but are not limited to holding special meetings, public hearings, listening sessions, inviting special guests and/or expert witnesses, and preparing studies and other reports. And you may recall that we had hearings last year throughout the state of Michigan regarding fair housing. The priorities for 2024 included voting rights and diversity, equity and inclusion with a focus on artificial intelligence discrimination. 2 priorities were set aside: environmental justice with a focus on climate equity and juvenile justice. I would like to open the floor for discussion on priorities for this year. Are there any recommendations or suggestions for 2025 priorities?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Londo, you have the floor.
I'm extremely proud of the work that the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission was able to accomplish last year. However, I feel that there is still more work to be done and would recommend that that commission, or that committee rather, continue to be established with a continued emphasis on artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Commissioner Londo. Are there any additional suggestions?
No, if I may, Chair,
Yes, Commissioner El Hassan?
comment to that, Commissioner Londo, I certainly appreciate that, and something that came to mind for me as well, but given all that's going on with the administration, and particularly the executive order that was just signed, we may want to sort of recalibrate how we look at that. I lift that to the top, there's been an imposition of possible risks to funding and whatnot. So just something to think about as we go down this journey, that certainly work is not done on this path, but I just want to make sure that we make a record of that we're taking into account all that's been done thus far, but some of the restrictions, hate to say it like that, but some of the restrictions that have been imposed. So we will walk that line very carefully, and with counsel from Mr. Lamont, I'm sure we'll handle things appropriately.
Thank you, Commissioner El Hassan. Commissioner Londo?
I certainly believe in the DI committee's ability to multitask.
Yes,
So,
of course.
very receptive to that comment.
Great, thank you. Are there any additional suggestions?
Chair Lara, I would just ask the Executive Director Johnson whether or not he believes that there will be any concern at the state level about the department and about funding that would come from the federal government through the state to the department in light of the executive order that was issued last week. And I say that knowing that I'm navigating some of the same issues. So I ask that knowing that you may not even know yet, but.
And thank you, Commissioner. John speaking, and we don't precisely, but our federal dollars are centered around employment and housing discrimination. Those are the contracts that we have with the federal government, one with the EEOC, the other with HUD. Those contracts are in place right now with no indication that they won't be continued. So that is the federal dollars upon which we rely. The rest of our money is state dollars coming right from the state coffers, general funding dollars, and again, those work projects that I talked about earlier. So that would be, in terms of the federal dollars, what I would see be affecting the department. That would be not even this fiscal year, maybe even next fiscal year. And we get, I think, we're authorized for maybe $3 million in federal dollars, but we based upon our submission of monies, it's probably about 2, maybe in that area. That might, somewhere down the line, might affect us. Right now, no. And our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion continues. We intend to stop any of the practices that we're employing right now, despite what's going on at the federal level.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Roberson. Are there any other comments or suggestions?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Worthams.
Madam Chair, and I think this reflects a conversation you and I had a number of weeks ago, just making sure that we have a mechanism in place to take a gander or to help guide us through the review of the executive director. Many other associations have, if it's not in their executive committee, but they may have some sort of review committee or a budget committee or something along those lines that will handle that assessment and make recommendations to the rest of the commission. In the 3 years that I've been on the commission, I know that it's been kind of, well, hey, Madam Chair, we've got an assessment that we need to do because we're getting close to the end of a fiscal year. And sometimes that seems haphazardly to me. And so I think if we start to build the process of having some sort of infrastructure within the commission of having this annual process, different commissioners can gain some experience in participating in that, perhaps even prepping themselves to move into one of the larger chairs by doing that. So I think it may behoove us to have a, for lack of a better word, an executive director assessment committee of some kind.
Thank you, Commissioner Worthams. Do you mind placing that on hold until we move to the next agenda item, which would be establishment of commission standing committees?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I blanked out. Sure.
Thank you. So, are there any other commission's 2025 priorities that we would like to entertain? So does this mean that we all will be working on the DEI issues and then going into subcommittees?
I would think that there's enough that's going to fall under this larger umbrella issue that we can all separate out into subcommittees throughout the year and figure out where we want to address our concerns and work on these issues. So I'm comfortable with that.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Roberson. This is still very new regarding what's happening overall, and I would like us to be a bit more nimble with what we do and how we consider it. And I'm hoping that the next chair feels the same way too. So a motion has been made by Commissioner Londo. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Barker, second. All in favor of the motion to adopt the Commission's 2025 priorities set forth in the offered motion, which is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and the Commission's 2025 priority is adopted.
Madam Chair, just for clarification, if I understood the motion, it was with an emphasis on, or continued emphasis on artificial intelligence. Just want to make the record clear that that's what you voted on. That was the motion.
As well as Commissioner Alasson's recommendation.
Right. Expanding, right. Thank you, Attorney Satch. So we will now move to item D, establishment of commission standing committees. The Commission regularly deals with certain routine matters and important civil rights issues that could possibly benefit from the establishment of a standing committee. Examples include personnel matters related to the executive director, budget matters related to the operations of the department and commission, and department matters related to civil rights protections. It would behoove the Commission to at least consider the benefits that may result from standing committees. And my notes say that a DEI committee could be a standing committee, an executive director assessment committee, or a budget committee, and I would like to open up the floor for such a discussion. Are there any comments or concerns with establishing standing committees? The ones that I just named were, there was an executive director assessment committee, a budget committee, and as part of our 2025 priorities, a DEI committee. Would we want to change the priority to a standing committee?
If I may.
Commissioner El Hassan?
Again, just for purposes of, can everybody hear me? Is it? Okay. I have no problem with the Executive Director Assessment Committee being a standing committee because that is something we would want to do on an annual basis. Given the comments that were just made by Executive Director Johnson, that our efforts are still continuing and we will still do the good work of this commission and the department as it relates to DEI. I don't know that we have to raise sort of the flag of creating a standing committee. The work is going to follow. We will continue to do that in the best way possible. But I think it's currently, I mean, we could do it as an ad hoc or as we discussed in the last motion, as a priority. And we can continue that as a priority for years to come, depending on where the commission stands on that particular topic.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner El Hassan. So let me summarize at this point. We are looking at an Executive Director Assessment Committee. Was there any consideration for a budget committee to look at the budget particularly as it relates to the commission. We do not have, I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, a specific line item for commission activities and travels, especially now since we are traveling all around the state, so that residents of the state of Michigan can see that we are informed to all parts of the state. Am I correct in assuming that, Director Johnson, that there's not a commission budget line item?
That's correct.
Great, thank you. Is there any discussion on that? Establishing.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Worthams?
I don't necessarily see this as a budget standing committee, but I can see, and I will lean on the director and I will lean on Annie to clarify if you would find there being benefit in having more than just the chair helping you out with your legislative priorities. Is there a need for 2 or 3 of us to help you with your conversations with legislators, to help you with the budget process, whatever along those lines?
John speaking. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for that suggestion. Yes, perhaps a policy committee of some sort that would deal not only with legislative issues, but also perhaps even the resolutions that come before this body that are being considered. Policy committee perhaps could deal with those and screen those before they even come before the commission. And while I have the microphone, if I may also suggest perhaps you may want to look at a rules committee in terms of internal rules and how business is conducted. I've got a copy of an old, I meant to bring it down. I saw one upstairs, a copy of the rules. Has anyone here ever seen one?
No.
For the commission?
Yeah, didn't think so. But there is one that exists. And I would think that one may want to look at rules in terms of how we pick folks to do Rule 12 hearings, et cetera, even this process today of elections, et cetera. I wonder whether that might be something you might want to consider.
Thank you, Director. I believe that I may have had a discussion along those lines with you last year, and I do think that it would be appropriate for us to either have a rules committee. It doesn't have to be a standing committee, but a committee that looks at the rules, particularly in light of, I'm assuming that the technology when the original rules were done is totally different from what we have now. So to be able to use current technologies for the work of the commission.
Madam Chair, so are we thinking at this point standing committees of the assessment committee, a legislative committee, and perhaps a rules committee, assuming that the budget standing committee would be sort of a subset of the legislative committee? Is that our thought process?
I believe so, but I think maybe we might call it, instead of a legislative committee, a policy committee that sort of broadens it and gives us, I think, a bit more leeway in what we would do. Do any of the commissioners have any comments regarding changing that to a policy committee? Nope. Okay.
I have no objection to that. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, but I would ask that we find a way to make sure that the budget for the commission somehow does not get lost in the policy committee, because I know that for the past few years that we've been traveling, it has gotten relatively expensive for the department to fund our activities. So it would be nice to.
Yes, Commissioner Roberson, I really agree with you on that as well. Yes, Director Johnson?
John speaking again, if I may. Actually, it's gotten easier to fund the activities because the budget has increased. But certainly, as you know, we submitted a proposal for change. I think for the fiscal year we're in now, asking for monies to be allocated for the commission. That was denied. But certainly, what we do is in the current budget that we have, obviously set aside monies for your meetings and travel, et cetera, et cetera. The commissioner, though, may be wanting a line item in which there'll be some certainty about how much money you have and how much money will be available. And also, I think there was some discussion earlier about even per diems, perhaps, that may want to be discussed. That could be part of the rules committee too. But I know that's been put on the table by Representative Larson when we met with him, talked with him a couple of years ago. So certainly I can see there being some concern about making sure there's money set aside for your activities as we move forward into hearings. Those will cost in terms of the ALJs, the transcripts, et cetera, all those are costs that will incur going forward in terms of this commission's activities as a quasi-judicial entity. And there may be more charges on other entities coming. So that's certainly a suggestion, Commissioner Roberson, that we may want to look into.
Thank you, Director Johnson, for your summary of other areas which the commission should really take a look at to ensure that we are doing the work that we have been commissioned to do for the people of the state of Michigan.
Oh, sorry, maybe John, speak one more thing. And also, as we talked about our summit this year, focusing on disabilities, that may be one, I know you've passed that line item, but also in terms of activities, we did hearings last year, as you recall, on housing. You may entertain an opportunity to have more public hearings this year, and certainly that also will be part of the cost involved in the commission activities.
Right. Thank you, Director. So do I hear a motion to establish? Yes.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Worthams.
Based on kind of the conversations, I want to offer this motion. I move that the commission form 3 standing committees: a committee on rules, a committee on the policy and the budget, and a committee on the executive director assessment. And further move that these committees be appointed by the 2025 chair at their earliest convenience.
Second.
So the motion has been made by Commissioner Worthams and seconded by Commissioner Roberson. Is there any other comments before we vote? No. So is there a motion to adapt the establishment of the standing committees as proposed in the motion that Commissioner Worthams has stated?
So we've got the motion already. It's on the floor.
Yes.
Go to vote.
I'll also say something.
Yeah.
Hang on. Page. Oops. All in favor of the motion to establish? Do I have to state the names?
I think it would be sufficient to just refer to the motion.
Great, thank you. So all in favor of the motion to establish the 3 standing committees as proposed, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries unanimously, and the commission standing committees are adopted. We will now move on to item E, Commission's 2025 Educational Retreat. To provide some background for the audience, the Commission meets annually for an educational retreat after new commissioners have been oriented and for strategic planning purposes. Last year, our educational retreat took place on June 24th, 2024. The Executive Committee met recently and decided to convene this year's educational retreat in February and to convene virtually. The proposed dates are Friday, February 7th in the afternoon and Friday, February 14th in the morning. Commissioners, is there any objection or comment regarding the proposed dates for the educational retreat? Hearing none? Seeing none, are all commissioners available on February? There's
Availability. If you're going to ask availability, that's
Yes.
fine.
Seeing none, are all commissioners available on February 7th in the afternoon or Friday, February 14th in the morning?
Madam Chair, I'm available on the 7th in the morning. I'm not available on the 14th in the afternoon.
14th is
What, is it flips?
AM.
Or
So
in-
the
or
7th
in
is,
the morning.
is in the afternoon.
So 7th in the morning, I'm available.
You're available the 7th?
I mean, 7th in the afternoon, I'm available. 14th in the morning, I am not available.
Okay, so far it looks like Friday, February 7th in the afternoon.
Correct.
You're available. Is everyone else available Friday, February 7th in the afternoon?
Do we know approximately what time it would be in the afternoon right now?
That's up to, do you have a,
Suggested.
As I recall, the educational retreat usually takes about 2 hours. So,
3? Is that too late?
right?
12:30 or 2?
So do you have a, would you like to start like right away in the afternoon or later in the afternoon?
Early in the afternoon would be good, around noon would be good.
here, here.
Around noon? So,
Can we all do noon?
right, are all commissioners available to start noon? Great. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the 2025 Commissioner Educational Retreat for February 7th, virtually, beginning at noon. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Worthams and support from Commissioner Londo. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the date of February 7th, starting at noon, for a virtual Commission Educational Retreat, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and the date for the 2025 Commission Educational Retreat is approved for February 7th. Moving on to the next agenda item, new business. Commissioners, we have one new business item before us for discussion. Assignment of Rule 12 Commission Hearing Officer or officers in the matter of Michigan Department of Civil Rights as petitioner versus Studio 8 Hair Lab LLC as respondent. General Counsel Lamont Satchel will present this matter to us. Attorney Satchel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. One of the duties of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission involves the resolution of citizen complaints of discrimination based on any of the protected classes such as race, religion, color, age, weight, height, genetic information, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or gender expression, marital status, familial status, physical and mental disability, and most recently, source of income and housing. The case before the Commission today is titled Michigan Department of Civil Rights Petitioner versus Studio 8 Hair Lab LLC Respondent. This case involves claims of gender identity discrimination in advertising and retaliation for filing a civil rights complaint with the Michigan Department of Civil Rights, both in claimed violation of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. Respondent Studio 8 Hair Lab LLC is charged with posting to its Facebook page statements that denied members of the public access to its services based on gender identity, and of later retaliating against the complainants for their filing of a certified complaint with the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. This case has gone through the internal department investigation process. The three claimants filed separate certified complaints of discriminatory advertising in 2023 on July 20th, July 28th, and August 13th, respectively. And after investigation and an offer of conciliation, a charge was filed against respondent, Studio 8 Hair Lab LLC. This matter was scheduled for an administrative hearing before Administrative Law Judge Mead, and the hearing was held on August the 22nd, 2024. Respondent participated in the investigation and defense in this matter up until the August 22nd, 2024 hearing, which it declined to participate in. Reviewing the record, evidence, and testimony in this case, Administrative Law Judge, or ALJ, Mead, made findings of fact and conclusions of law, issuing his proposal for decision on September 26, 2024, and finding Respondent Studio 8 Hair Lab LLC, quote, discriminated against claimants LMHS and MH, and in these cases, we use the initials of the claimants, on the basis of sex, contrary to MCL 37.2302, end quote, and, quote, retaliated against claimants by filing a frivolous lawsuit against them, contrary to MCL 37.2701, end quote, thereby upholding the Michigan Department of Civil Rights charge against Respondent Studio 8 Hair Lab LLC. As the Michigan Department of Civil Rights is the final arbiter regarding this matter, subject to any appeal rights the parties may have, the Commission rules set forth the process and requirement for this Commission to review the ALJ's proposal for decision and issue a final order with respect to the charge. The Commission may adopt, modify, or reject the ALJ's proposal for decision, and after adoption of a decision, the Commissioners may concur in the final order of the Commission or dissent. There is no time limit imposed on drafting and approving the Commission's decision, as it depends on several factors, including the complexity of the matter. Nevertheless, efforts are made to present the opinion to the full Commission for consideration within 3 to 6 months. At this point, the Commission must select a Commissioner or Commissioners to draft the Commission's final order and opinion in this matter. Traditionally, this selection has been done via blind draw or on a voluntary basis, and the Commission is, of course, free to choose any other selection process it deems appropriate under the circumstances. Once the Commissioner or Commissioners are selected, they will be responsible for reviewing the underlying administrative record and drafting an opinion on behalf of the Commission with any requested assistance from the Commission's legal counsel, me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel. Are there any questions for Attorney Satchel before we discuss the assignment or volunteering of this matter?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner El Hassan?
have you prepared a Cliff Notes version of the record?
Commissioner El Hassan, I thought it would be best if you...
Of course it is, to look at every...
the late night reading. But no, I'm in the process of going through this, so I will have prepared, I guess, a summary of what happened in this matter for review by whoever the commissioners are, but we are obligated to consult the entire record in the drafting of the opinion and consideration of approval of whatever that opinion is.
As I recall, I think it's some 900 and some pages.
I think when I counted, it was like 900,000 something pages, yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Worthams?
I wonder if Attorney Satchel would know is there a definition of hazing in our rules? This sounds like something great for a new commissioner.
I'm happy to support the work, because I imagine some of my fellow commissioners are going to step up as well. And it won't just be the lone wolf over here volunteering her efforts.
So my script actually states that we actually have to formalize the assignment method that we should adopt in assigning this case. So first of all, we need to, we are not limited to either way of having a commission or commissioners determine how they're going to support this. And I believe, as stated before, the commission has used either a blind draw, so we could put all your names in a hat and draw the names, or have allowed commissioners to volunteer to be the lead commissioner in drafting the commission decision.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Worthams.
I move the chair ask for 2 volunteers.
So there is a motion that the chair will entertain asking for 2 volunteers for this. Is there a second for the motion?
Support.
There's support by Commissioner Roberson. Is there any additional discussion on asking for volunteers? No? All in favor of the motion for asking for volunteers say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously, and the volunteer method is adopted. So now we will ask for volunteers.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Londo.
I excitedly volunteer.
Thank you, Commissioner Londo.
And I join in that excitement.
And thank you, Commissioner El Hassan. So Commissioners Londo and El Hassan have been identified as the drafters of the commission opinion in the MDCR v. Studio 8 case. I will entertain a motion assigning them as the drafters of the commission's opinion.
Madam Chair.
We have support from Commissioner Worthams. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a support from Commissioner Roberson. Any additional discussion on the motion?
May the force be with you.
It will.
All in favor of the motion to assign Commissioners Londo and Commissioner El Hassan as the drafters of the commission opinion in the MDCR v. Studio 8 case, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously.
I was just waiting for someone to oppose that.
To oppose doing it or oppose having you as well?
Yeah, that.
Yes. Okay. So let the record reflect that Commissioners Londo and El Hassan have been assigned as the lead commissioners in drafting the commission's opinion in the MDCR v. Studio 8 case. Does anyone have any additional new business items you'd like to bring to our attention? Seeing none, we will move forward to the next item, public comment. This is the second public comment opportunity we mentioned earlier, and we will continue to follow the same protocol set forth by Deputy Director Woolridge earlier in the meeting. Tiara Yakini will continue to serve as timekeeper. Ms. Sanford, have we received all of the forms?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are no public comment
No public
requests.
comments. Thank you. Since there are no public comments, this concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. We have now come to the 2025 election of officers agenda item. In order to proceed with the election, we will first hear from the nominating committee. The nominating committee for the 2025 election of officers was appointed during the October 21st, 2024 meeting. The committee includes Commissioner El Hassan serving as chair, Commissioner Roberson, and Commissioner Worthams. Commissioner El Hassan, would you please provide an update from the nominating committee and announce the slate of names set forth by the nominating committee for the positions of commission chair, vice chair, and secretary?
Certainly. Thank you for the opportunity. And let me just start by saying this. I have received a number of nominations for those positions that you just noted. And I had to strong arm a few. No. The point of my comment is to say that I have been serving on this commission for a few years now, and the collegiality of every single commissioner during this process is just unlike anything I've seen before in my service on a number of other boards. Just the support of the nomination and not having to sort of as I'm sure many that have worked in the legislature know, walking the halls and trying to get the votes and trying to see who's got support for who. There's always this sort of, yes, this is the right person for the job in this given year. And so with that being said, I very much appreciate the respect and candor and support and commitment that comes from every one of the commissioners when it comes to this process. And without further ado, the nominations that I am putting on the record and asking for a vote on are as follows. Commissioner Worthams as the chair, Commissioner Londo as vice chair, and Commissioner Lara as secretary.
Thank you, Commissioner El Hassan and the nominating committee for your service. Next, is there a motion to allow the chair to conduct the election of chair, vice chair, and secretary?
So moved.
Support.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Roberson and seconded by Commissioner Worthams. Is there any additional discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Oh, all opposed indicate by saying no, although it sounded like everyone said aye.
Speak now or forever hold your peace, at least for 2025.
Okay, the motion passes. Now we will vote on each position in the order beginning with chair. The nominating committee having nominated Commissioner Worthams as chair. Are there any further nominations for chair? The nominating committee having nominated Commissioner Londo for vice chair. Are there any further nominations for vice chair? The nominating committee having nominated Commissioner Lara as secretary. Are there any further nominations for secretary?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Worthams.
I move that nominations be closed.
I support.
We're off script because I'm supposed to say there being no further nominations for chair, vice chair, and secretary without objection. I've always wanted to say that. Nominations are closed.
That works.
Okay. Nominations being closed and there being no nomination other than Commissioner Worthams for chair, is there a motion to elect Commissioner Worthams as chair by acclamation vote of aye or no?
Support.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Londo. Is there a second?
Second.
We have support from Commissioner Barker. All in favor of Commissioner Wortham serving as chair indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed indicate by saying no. The yeas have it, and Commissioner Worthams is elected as chair. Nominations still being closed, and there being no nomination other than Commissioner Londo for vice chair, is there a motion to elect Commissioner Londo as vice chair by acclamation vote of aye or no?
So moved.
Commissioner El Hassan has made the motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Roberson has supported. We have all in favor of Commissioner Londo serving as vice chair indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed indicate by saying no. Nominations still closed, and being no nomination other than Commissioner Lara for secretary, is there a motion to elect Commissioner Lara as secretary by acclamation vote of aye or no?
Support.
So moved.
Is moved by Commissioner White, supported by Commissioner El Hassan. All in favor of Commissioner Lara serving as secretary indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed indicate by saying no. The yeas have it, and Commissioner Lara is elected as secretary. Congratulations to our 2025 officers, Chair Worthams, Vice Chair Londo, and Secretary Lara. So, Chair Worthams, I am officially passing the gavel to you, and here's
Be careful.
congratulations.
Please use it with care.
Don't break it. Carefully.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, now Madam Secretary, and congratulations to my fellow officers. And congratulations once again to you, Commissioner White, for joining the commission as well. And let me also say thank you, not just to you, Gloria, but to all of the chairs who have preceded me, one of whom might be over in that general direction. I am, having watched you serve in this position in the past, I am well aware of the responsibility that comes with this gavel. For those who don't know me, I am a big fan of Marvel films. And a common theme in those films is that with great power comes great responsibility. And while the power in that gavel is mainly to grab your attention, the real power, which is shared with all of us, not just on this commission, but with everybody in this room, is to give us the opportunity to serve the people throughout the state of Michigan, all the people throughout the state of Michigan. And so in the spirit of something that St. Paul has taught, he preached to all people, to Jews and Gentiles, to slave, to free, men and women, children, to everybody, because we are all one body. And so to that end, I see this term as an opportunity to mesh my experiences and my relationships that I have with the members of the legislature with the work that we do here. For years, frankly, in my opinion, both parties, Republicans and Democrats, have struggled to empower this commission and this department to really live out its mission and the goals that are laid out for us in the Constitution. I hope that my time as chair will be used to build a foundation that will allow future commissions, future chairs, future personnel of the department, and future directors to really fully engage successfully with our efforts to live out that mission and to make sure that the laws of the state of Michigan apply to all people who wish to call Michigan their home. And so to not to draw this out, because I've been in those church sessions where the homily goes for hours, no offense. But let me once again turn to St. Paul, who in the book of Galatians said, "If we live by the Spirit, let us also walk by the Spirit. Let us bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the laws of Christ. And let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we don't lose heart." And in these challenging times that 2025 may be, let us not lose heart, for we know at least the 8 people on this commission, and maybe even more who are in this room, we will bear our burdens together. And with that, thank you for your faith in me. Thank you for your election, for your votes, and I look forward to serving you and to serving with you. Thank you very much. And so, having completed the business of the meeting, we now come to commissioners' closing comments. Are there any closing comments from any of my fellow commissioners?
I will just say congratulations to the 3 of you, but also congratulations to this commission and this department, who's got a hell of a executive committee that they're looking at. So congratulations.
Other closing comments from commissioners?
I want to say I'm honored to be able to serve with you all, and I look forward to working with you all. We know that we have some great challenges that we're dealing with this year, but I am excited to work with you all to see how we can help to strengthen our community and make things better. So looking forward to being a great year.
Welcome, Commissioner. Last call for commission comments. Well, friends, seeing how we've completed the business and the meeting, we now move to our final item. That is the adjournment. So as we adjourn this meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission, please note that our next meeting will be convened on Monday, April the 28th, 2025, in Flint at a time and location to be determined. With that, friends, I need a motion that we stand adjourned.
So moved.
Moved by by Secretary Laura, seconded by Commissioner Roberson. Without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in April, and fly, Eagles, fly.
Amen. I was written hard for you guys. So were the rest.
In 2 hours.
It was hard for the Chiefs. Yes, that they were. It is hard for me. I mean, how can you not see that ball on the ground and call it a
I try not to feed into like the conspiracies of like.
Thank you, sir.